or what was it again, Jade?
I'm not sure. Black Excellence?
Oh, right. Black Excellence Talk in Vaughan. So she was like, I don't want to, can you record it? I don't know if my computer will record the whole thing, but an hour and change. That's a long time. It might. It might not. All right. So we're going to get started. Delaney, you could do my timing again? Maybe? Yes. Okay. Let's time to, is 40 minutes okay for a bathroom break or whatever? Pit stop, we'll call it for our cars. Yeah. Give me 40 minutes. Yeah. And Tina's going to do some note taking for me. Jade's going to moderate. Okay. So if you weren't here last week, Jade's going to do some moderating. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Jade's going to try her best to keep an eye on the chat. Usually I'll see something bouncing at the bottom. Or you can unmute yourself, interrupt me anytime. I am open to any questions. And we have Ashley here. Yeah, awesome. So how's everybody doing? I'm bringing out my pom-poms. Week 2. I am so excited for week 2 because there's a lot of information that we are going to unpack, but I always like to start with just a quick little tiny review of week 1. So I'm kind of hoping that everybody's feeling like they're having a bit of a reframing in their minds. Starting to think about things a little differently, not necessarily, oh my gosh, I can't have this and I'm not allowed this, or no. Because whenever we're starting to change our diet, we tend to think we're removing things and we're going to go without. But instead, we are removing some things, but we're replacing them. So you should feel like you're satisfied, like things are on track. But you might have hit some road bumps. So I'm wondering, did the bully show up at all in the last week? Yeah. Do you remember who your bully was?
Gertie.
Magica. What was yours again? Magica. Do you remember what your bully's name was?
Mine was Esther.
Esther.
I didn't remember that. I just remember.
So sometimes our bully will show up. And many times it's like, okay, be quiet. Mine's Betty. So it's like, be quiet, Betty. It's someone just in the back of your mind. It's you, but it's someone sort of trying to beat you down, take you down a different path. So you might be on a great path. You launched out of the day one thinking I'm going to do amazing. And I'm not sure if anyone felt a shift by the afternoon or not. And I know I showed you last week, and I mean, my little guys are starting to change because they're getting happier. But like by 2:00, I'm not sure if anyone was feeling that. Okay. So if you were still feeling that sort of drop in energy, he's looking a little sad there. The hope is that you will start to feel really bouncy and happy and glowing and vibrant and all that jazz. If you didn't, if you were feeling like, oh my gosh, this is not feeling good, maybe you were getting a runny nose from some mucus that was coming up, maybe you're getting headaches or some constipation, some people still feel more bloated, they're getting even indigestion, and they're not necessarily getting that glowing skin or that high energy I'm talking about. That is totally normal, okay? Even today, we're past half point, we're in day 6. And still the cells are trying to fill up. So I need you to understand your cells were sort of just like half of what they should be, half getting their nutrients. And now you're flooding your cells with all of this high fiber, great fruit, vibrant vegetables, lots of water. I hope everybody's on track with their water. And those cells are filling. And as they're filling, they're confused. They're saying, I do not know what to do with all of this fuel. I don't know if I should hold on to it. I don't know if I need to keep it in my reserve tank because I don't know when you're going to fill me back up. Your body is just getting into new habits. In the next 5 days, you should start to really release that. And that doesn't necessarily mean the constipation. And if you are having any trouble with the constipation, if everyone's starting to move the bowels a little better, if you're not and you're too shy to talk, it's okay. Make sure that you add that lemon. If you do the salt in the water, do it again if it didn't work the first time, which is very rare, or you can do the magnesium in the evenings, okay? You really want to get those bowels moving. You want to eliminate. We want to be going pee like at least every hour. If not, I go every 30 minutes. It's almost ridiculous, okay? So you want to be getting all the toxins and bacteria out of the body. Like I said last week, the large intestine is 25 feet long. It's going to take some time to eliminate. Just as a quick story, back note here, I have a good friend who became a vegetarian. So she hadn't eaten meat in, I think it was about a year at the time. And she went in for a colonoscopy. They found feces, so they know how to break it down to know what it was, and it still had meat in her intestines after one whole year. So you can hold on to things for a very long time. The body's very smart. The body's so intelligent. It doesn't know when it's getting its next meal. It doesn't know these things, okay? So just let your body relax. So I talked about an 80-20. Remember what I said, 80% of the time we can be really clean, and then 20% of the time we might give ourselves a little permission. All right. So we start to dip off. As you're heading into these next 5 days on your cleanse, that 20%, something does happen in the brain. Regardless of how much you talk to your little bully, there is something that's happening. And what your body or your mind both are talking to each other, it's saying, I am in danger. I'm dangerous. It means your body's saying, oh my goodness, even this 20%, this little window I've given myself to maybe go a little bit off, I could get into trouble because it may open the floodgates. It might be like, oh my gosh, if I have one piece of chocolate, I'm just going to gorge on that one piece of chocolate. Okay. So as we head into this next 5 days, and I hope everybody started to understand that there is a coming off the cleanse. You guys, did anybody read the information? So as you're coming off of it, you usually want to just take away one smoothie. So if you're doing, as you are, 2, you're going down to 1. I tend to like to leave the breakfast smoothie in there, okay? But if that doesn't work for you and you wake up and you've got a really busy lifestyle, and maybe you're a gardener, landscaper, and you're like, I need to have my food. Go ahead and have your smoothie for lunch. Slowly start to reintroduce food because that's when that danger zone can happen. That 20% where the body says, oh my gosh, I haven't had this in so long. And it won't be your mind talking. It will be your body and you're going to want it and you may give into it. Okay. So the word permission, if I have to reframe it, because I'm hoping that over the 6 weeks, I'm reframing some of the lessons or old behaviors, old habits, old patterns that you've been taught in the past, is that we're going to reframe how you think about it. So I want you to take the word permission and I want you to see it as trust. I need you to begin to trust the teachings that I am delivering to you, okay? It is not going to happen in the 5 days that you've been on this smoothie. That's not long enough, okay? That's why we're together for 6 weeks. It's going to take a little while before you begin to trust yourself because this is all about you, okay? This really is about you learning about your habits, your behaviors, your patterns, but I'm giving you the why, right? So I had introduced last week that there's why and how and when and what. The teachings that we begin with are all the whys, because if you don't buy into the whys, it really doesn't matter if I write you a diet, right? If I write you a meal plan, you're not going to always follow it because there's going to be things that get in the way, triggers. Maybe a weekend. A weekend for some people, they think, oh, weekend, I'm off. Woohoo! I get to party. I get to go crazy. And it's also why I don't really encourage a cheat day. You might have heard of cheat days. I just believe in healthy eating every day and keeping that 80-20 principle. Okay. Even Weight Watchers, I think it's the only one that I support, is starting to lean towards that. Weight Watchers even has 0 points for many of their items, like 0. And so lots of fruits and vegetables are 0. And it's like, well, wait a second. Why don't those count? Because they're good for you. They're full of nutrients. They're full of fuel to burn body fat, fuel to build muscle. All right. So we had some really good results on some of our measures. I'm not sure if anyone else wanted to measure along the way, but you could. So if you're beginning to wonder, is this really working? I'm not sure. I feel a change in my clothes, but I'm not 100% sure. I would go back to your measure. Go back to your measurement sheet. Take your inches. Have someone do them for you if you want to. But it is a really good guide point, even though you may already be feeling a little bit of a change in your clothing. So Jade had some awesome results. And the reason I'm going to have Jade share is because I want to teach you a lesson through these results. So Jade, if you have it?
I think I do.
I think I do.
So,
Also to note, one of the other symptoms that I found was
Yes.
I wash my hair every 5 days, and I found it's been getting oilier, like so much quicker than usual. Like day 2, I'm like, why is my hair so oily?
So oils coming out of the body can be toxins. They can be bacteria coming out of the body. So if you notice the same thing, more oilier hair, that oil that you actually want, it's not a bad thing, but right now it's going to be secreted more than normal. Same as I mentioned, the runny nose. It's mucus coming out of the body. Your body is cleansing. It's detoxifying. All right. So Jade.
Anyway, so I'm down. I can't remember. I think 6.5 inches total.
Wow.
Yeah. But,
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
So on your sheet, when you did your measures, we did everything from your chest to your neck, to your rib cage, your abdomen, your waist, your hips, your thighs. So it's 12 measurements. And of those 12, Jade came down 6.5 inches total. So that means it's very healthy because on her sheet, you would see that she came down 1/4 inch on her arms, maybe 2 inches on her waist, 1/4 on her chest. So it's overall release instead of all in one place. Because if it was all in one place, you would say that that's just because you changed your diet and not necessarily exercise wise. And then touching on that because of her next measurement.
And then fat release, I released 1.8 pounds.
Okay. So on the scale, Jade had a complete release of 1.8 pounds. However, with Jade's measure, I was able to do a body fat calculation because I'm going to use her as a little bit of an example. So how much did you go up in lean weight?
1.64.
So Jade went up 1.64 in lean weight and you went down
3.44.
Okay. So Jade went up 1 point whatnot in lean weight. That's your muscular weight. That's your skeletal weight. That's your bones. That's your ligaments, your joints, and muscle all in one. But her body fat went down a little over 3 pounds. Okay. That is inflammation, water, bloating, any water retention, and body fat. The difference between the two is the key. So she went down on the scale by about 1.8 pounds. But we know it's body fat because more went off to body fat than it did lean muscle. Okay. But it's important to understand that because on a scale, you can't see what your lean muscle weight is. You don't know. You just know that's what you weigh. Bam. That's it. So you just have to trust, remember, permission to me, that it's going to work because the cells are fueling up. You're building muscle through our workouts and proper eating. And that muscle is burning off body fat for you.
Yeah. So are you saying if the scale doesn't necessarily move
Yes.
a lot,
Yes.
that's okay?
Yes.
Because you could be building more lean, whatever.
Lean muscle.
Lean muscle.
Yeah. Yeah. Lean weight.
Okay.
Yeah. So don't get discouraged if your scale only shifts a pound. Or maybe it even goes up. Because it's quite possible, pretty much 90.9%, if you're staying pretty within what we're doing here, you are releasing body fat. You guaranteed you're releasing body fat. I could pretty much guarantee it. Normally with the answer, I do everyone's measure all the time, every single time, but not everyone can be here and that's okay. Just trust me. Okay. Delaney had the same type of results. Delaney went down on the scale and she went up in lean muscle, down in body fat. Okay. So yay to everybody. I would encourage you all to do your measures. And with Delaney's situation, she was down approximately 24 inches. And so that 24 is exciting because what it means is 12 inches is usually about a size in your clothes. Okay. So if she went down approximately 24 inches since she started, she would have gone down 2 sizes. But typically when you're coming into the program, your clothes are really starting to get snug. And that's your sort of first indication, I better do something about this, right? So not only did her clothes in that first 12 inches start to get a little bit more comfortable, as she shifted to the next 12 inches, now they're getting almost a little bit looser. As Delaney continues to release, maybe another 12 inches, she may go down a size. And that is a healthy way to go down because you don't really want to go down right away either. Okay? So congratulations. If you've done your measures or not, I really encourage you to do it and or take your pictures. On page 15, we had signed, and if you haven't, signed a contract to ourselves that we are doing this. We are in this together and we are in this for 6 weeks and our goal is going to be very important to us. So if you haven't filled that in, please do. Please, there is something with pen to paper I mentioned last week. When we think a thought, when we speak a thought, and when we write a thought. Writing a thought pretty much stamps and seals it. Okay, so start to write these goals to yourself. It's very, very important. All right, so coming off the cleanse, we did that. Okay, so I have one more little mantra I would like you to learn for the next 5 days and moving forward. Okay, so as you come off your cleanse, you're going to hit that 20%. I'm in danger or I'm dangerous, one or the other. Okay, so what I want you to do is, I don't want you to start again on Monday or start again tomorrow. I want you to write this mantra down. Okay, I want you to say, I will get back on track the next meal or next snack. I will get back on track the next meal or the next snack. This will allow you to give yourself the permission, which you're going to need. There's going to be times you're going to want that cookie, or you're going to want that beer, or you're going to. And I don't want this so restrictive that you can't have it, okay? You're never going to hear a trainer say that, right? What I would love you to do is delay the gratification. I'd like you to, in your mind, think, I'm not sure if I should have that right now. Do I want to maybe save that till later? I want you to delay gratification. But once you have it, you need to get back on track that next meal or that next snack. Don't wait till tomorrow and don't wait for Monday. Okay? It's very, very important. That's a mantra I've said to myself for oodles of years. Okay? And it really does keep me on track. It keeps me in the process of releasing weight and getting healthy. Okay? Because you're always going to go one way or the other. All right. So we're moving forward. We are going to go to our week 2. And with week 2, we have a lot to cover. A big piece of week 2 is understanding our big why. So I have had you on page 21 go over some of your habits. And we wrote down what our habits were and new habits that we wanted to start to adapt. I'm not sure if anyone started to adapt some new habits. Has anyone started? Yeah? Oh, good. Anybody else? Anybody at home? There? Online? Adopting some new habits yet? Even if it comes up 50-50. Even if it's 1%, even if it's one little tiny habit, that's shifting you, okay? And one step will lead to many steps of many shifts. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 1 week. All right, so we need to get down to our why. So there's so much wrapped around conditioning, all right? Whether it was conditioning in your childhood, conditioning on TV, or conditioning in social media now, there's so much with our conditioning, all right? The conditioning is speaking towards letting people only see what you want them to see, and or only seeing what others want you to see. Not necessarily speaking of the bad things that are happening in our life, or things that we're not all proud of, or habits that we don't want to share with others. We're not going to go around and broadcast them all the time. And it's also not what we're led to believe is the right way to go about life. So we live in this world in our mind of what people see and not who we really are. Okay. So when that happens, we get into this little bit of feeling like, what is it all about? So you get a little bit depressive. You're living this life of what you want to portray and what you want others to see, but it's not really hitting your inspiration of who you want to be. And when you end up living in this world of, I'll call it fakeness, it starts to make you feel a depressive feeling, as if you're not living this purpose, this inspiration that is so dear and true and would make your heart, sing and soar. You get up in the morning, you're kind of just going through what you want people to see, patterns, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if you've ever read the book Tuesdays with Morrie or watched the movie The Bucket List, or you've read some inspirational information from speakers or books or motivational presentations. But when asked, say it's an elderly person or someone who's ill, when they're asked what it's all about, it's going to sound really corny, but it's all about a legacy. And what they mean when they say a legacy and making sure that they're sort of leaving a purpose behind, sort of evolution to others and or inspiration to others. It doesn't mean they're creating this next big miracle. It doesn't necessarily mean they're creating a foundation, but they're trying to make it about other people. So what their life is all about when they have this critical illness is, what am I leaving behind? What is it that is important to other people and making a difference in someone else's life? And this is very, very important to understand. Because if we go through our life thinking what it's all about is releasing body fat, getting skinny, or getting in that next bikini, I'm not sure if that's what you're going to think when you're on your deathbed. However, if it is what you think of all the time, and that is your driving force, you should be doing everything in your power to be healthy, because that may be your inspiration. That is what you want your family to remember you by. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, if we dig really, really deep and we get really true to what it's all about, sometimes we have to go a little bit deeper than that. We have to go a little deeper than just our health. So I'm not sure if that mattered to you, if that was your inspiration, was just your health. Did that drive you for the last 7 days? Was that the only thing you thought about? Was it your health the whole time? Or did you think about other things that came up? Time with your friends? Were you at functions? Were you at work and other things distract you? There are going to be things in life that are going to distract you. It's going to come up. So what I like to do is I like to go back to, and this is really important, is how you saw your inspiration in the first place. What is your motivation? What was really, really important to you? So on page 36, if you were to leave a legacy, what was that legacy, or what would your legacy be all about? So I want you to take just a minute here to just think about that and think about what your journey, your whole life's journey and your whole life's purpose is all about.
Jeez.
Boy, and I know, trust me, I do a lot of coaching, and even people who have this all right sit in my chair and say, but Lee, I don't know why. I work out, I eat right, but like, what's life all about? Big question. Ooh, we're getting deep, right? So if you're stuck, that's okay. I would absolutely love you to go back and write something, okay? It can be at home when you're in a quiet place and you just dig really, really deep, because what's it all about is going to be your driving principle for this whole program. And you're going to see how I break this down in a moment. So it's all about balance, in my opinion. There was a time when I was very restrictive on myself. Young, restrictive, there was only one way. I was unable to see that balance needed to play a part. And that's when the 80-20 got very clear for me. So balance is about trying to keep moving by having steady principles and priorities. All right. So repeat that. Balance is about trying to keep moving by having steady principles and or priorities. So remember when I said, when you walk into a situation and you think, what is this situation asking of me? Not what is this situation doing to me? If we can really dig deep as to what your life is all about, what it's about, when you walk into these situations, you can quickly go back to that and say, I can make different decisions. I can create new habits from there. And those new habits are going to support what my legacy is all about. Okay. So for me, if my legacy is all about my family and staying healthy for my family and hoping that they'll have good family ties from that, I'm going to have to support my health in any way I can so that I can support my family. And it goes in a full circle all the time. Okay. All the time. All right. So finding balance. So for some people, this is so personal, and that's why I need you to really sit and think about this. Balance isn't the same for everyone, okay? None of our purposes, our priorities are going to be the same. It can't be the same. For me, I've got 2 dogs, I'm married, keeping up with the house, couple, working out, playing in sports. Oprah, she has no husband. She's not married, right? No children, but she has dogs, lots of dogs. She has a fiance, that's fine. Angelina Jolie, she's got lots of adopted children. She's decided she's going to do this. The reason I'm saying that is because for one person, it might be wonderful. For another person, they may even look at my life and say, oh, that's chaotic. That's crazy. However, our priorities and our principles are usually in line because what we're doing makes us happy. I mean, the true journey of life is to try to be happy. Can we be happy all the time? No, we can't be happy all the time. But our yearning is for 80% of the time being happy. And 20% of the time we might slide a little bit, and that's okay. That's normal. Okay. So it's understanding that this is very personal. Whatever you decide is going to be your purpose is very, very important, but it's also very, very personal. Personal. All right. So after saying that, I'm going to say, to begin, it's making sure that it's not always all about you either. All right. So a lot of us think, okay, wait, how can I have a legacy that's all about what I want, but then not make it about me? Well, because usually your legacy has nothing to do with you. We put it on everyone else. And sometimes those people that we're actually living for, we begin to resent and or blame because they're taking you off your path. But if you're doing it for them, then the reset all the time is to go back to, whoop, hold on a second. It's not about me. It's about them. And you just keep doing this constant circle because the circle of life is the key, is to keep that circle moving. And I'm going to teach you how to shift that and keep that balance moving because that's what balance is. Everything is always changing. Life is always changing from second to second to second. We cannot stay in the same second right now. It's not possible. We know it's going to move. So how do we shift with it? Whether it's even our age and or our circumstances. So normally I'm coaching people that don't have a severe illness and obviously don't have a disease, but I have coached people like that, and it's set up a little different because I have to go with 100% principle. There's no 80-20, but for us, we can be 80-20 because we know we have to move with that shift, with that change. So what is it? So law of attraction is number one. So law of attraction, if you don't know what law of attraction is, in my opinion, it is a blending of the principle of what I just said. So law of attraction, we have to imagine ourselves as a magnet. And a magnet has a positive and a negative, right? So if we're thinking about, okay, we're just going to keep putting positive out there, what would we normally attract?
Positive.
Right. If we keep putting negative out there, what are we going to attract?
Negative.
Negative. Now, positive and negative, they snap off each other. They just don't come together, right? We want positive going together. So law of attraction means what we're putting out, we're getting back. All right. So even being here is a law of attraction because whatever is happening for you is that law of attraction. It's happening because it's happening. It's accepting what's happening in that moment. So instead of getting frustrated and getting upset when things are happening, we have to really get over that hump of blaming. May it even be if you give in, like you have that cookie or you have that beer, that permission that I've allowed. You can't beat yourself up for it. You can't immediately go, oh my gosh, I suck. Everything I try, I fail at, because it's not true. It's absolutely not true. This is happening for you for a reason so you can learn a lesson. It's how you respond to it. All right. So if we respond to it with negative, we're going to get more negative. Okay. Mm-hmm. You'll probably completely give up. And that's where I find a lot of people going through yo-yo dieting. It's $1 billion industry, and they suck you right in because they want you to stop having something. Never, ever, ever have that again. But they know that's just going to lead you back to the diet again, right? So it's just a yo-yo cycle. Okay. So understanding that you just accept it, you have it. In my opinion, enjoy it. Like, bring it in your mouth. Enjoy the chocolate if it's chocolate. Move it around. Like, just give in to it. But then move on and say, okay, I've done that. All right. That tasted really good. Note to self. And then just, like I said, get back on track that next meal or next snap. Because the law of attraction says that if you put that negative out, you're going to get it back. Okay. So we don't want to get stuck there. That's a big piece, not getting stuck. So beginning to feel like you love life. Maybe getting up in the morning saying, I love life. It's wonderful. And I am happy is something that you could begin your day with and continue with your day because you know that you're on the right track no matter what's happening to you, right? So then that happy meter starts to fill up. Many people have a lot of trouble with this. The happiness meter is something that you have to feel, right? It's not necessarily an action. Sure, once in a while you can bounce on the bouncy castle and make you happy, but it's not going to last. Okay. So we have to be filling ourselves up all the time. It's like a meter you need to fill up. And when you're vibrating on that happiness, you're going to attract it. People are attracted to it. They really are. I don't know if you've ever been with anyone who's negative, nilly, like they're just like, they suck the life and energy out of you, right? Now we can't vibrate on that all the time, but if we were to vibrate it 80% of the time, you're going to attract it. And it makes life a lot easier because you're going to attract people who have the same principles and priorities that you do. Okay? I promise you. It will happen. You just have to keep at it. You just have to keep focusing on it. Okay. Another part of law of attraction is believing. So belief isn't something that you just snap your fingers and I believe. Okay? It's something that you have to practice. And if you get into this mindset that, let me give you an example. Have you ever focused on, finances? Not that anyone wants to talk about it, but your finances. Like say you got in debt, okay? And the more you focus on it, for some reason, you just keep being in debt, okay? Or some people who focus on getting pregnant can't get pregnant. And when they stop trying to get pregnant, they all of a sudden get pregnant. That's the law of attraction. Whatever you focus on, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to get more of. So if you focus on being healthy, you will become more healthy, right? If you focus on just releasing weight, sometimes we won't release the weight because we're too focused on releasing the weight, right? So the same happens for both, is that whatever you're putting your focus on, it should be that illuminating, like this is what it's all about. And if you want to go back to legacy, you can, whatever way you want to phrase it. All right.
I listened to a podcast
Yes.
that it said you have to think like the way that you think about it kind of thing. So it's not thinking like, oh, I can't afford that. It's how can I afford it?
Love it. Okay. So
Okay.
Delaney said it was one thing is, how can I afford it?
It's not like, oh, I can't afford it and being down on it. It's how can I afford it?
Afford it. Like the
Eventually,
how, so that you can work towards it instead of always thinking, oh, I can't have it. I
Yeah.
can't have it. Right. Or you could build your day up like
Yeah.
that. So you want to enjoy the celebration of a birthday party tonight. So you figure out how. Well, you're going to eat really, really clean all day long so that you can have a piece of cake later on. It's a how. Okay. Because you can. You really can. No one. I don't know anyone who is clean 100% of the time. I don't know anyone. Okay.
Don't have the cake. Have 10 shots of tequila.
If not the cake, 10 shots of tequila, Jason.
Tequila sugar free.
All right, so this
It's
might
really
feel a
good.
little bit, still a little bit sticky. So I'm going to take it a little further. Let's take it down to the bare minimum. What defines you? So on page 38, I have a little story about myself. Now I wrote this, oh my gosh, I wrote this 10 years ago. And I have to say, it was a sad time, what I went through. And I've gone through another one. And I am so happy to say that these steps have again proven me right. Okay, so what defines you? So in my life, and this is not a pity party for me, it's just to give you an example. When this situation happened to me, I was working full time, 2 very young children, dog, and I tried to open a business. Okay. At the time, I was very young. I knew nothing about business. I knew a lot about fitness, but I didn't know anything about business. We failed severely. We had to sell our house. I was putting nickels and dimes together for like milk. And I mean, I really didn't know where our next meal was coming. And we had to strip ourselves down and start over. We literally had to move from a place I really loved because I was 1 street from my parents and 1 street from my sister, and I'd made really good friends, and my kids were so happy there and cried when we were leaving, but I had to do it. So I kind of stripped myself down is what happened. So I had kind of lost my sort of identity, if you want to say, and I had to start in a new place, and I had to go from a detached house right back to like a semi, whatever I needed to do to start over to survive. And so through that experience, I was very depressed. I was off work for a whole year. I had released, I'll say lost. It was so bad because I had released a lot of muscle. I was frail. I was on antidepressants. But at the time, what I learned was through my mentors, through my coaches, through my psychologists, through my coaching, and everyone who supported me was the lessons I'm going to teach you. And it was the biggest moment of my life because it has made my life so much more clear. And 5 years ago, I went through a similar situation, but I lost my dad that time, but there was a lot of trauma wrapped around it. Again, I went right back to this. Okay. So what I suggest you do is you strip yourself down. So I want you to imagine you no longer have the business that you have maybe right now. You no longer have a house. You really don't know where you're going to live, where you're going to get the money. You no longer really can provide food for your family and or yourself. It's just you. I could go as far as to say you're on a deserted island. I don't know, but still in civilization, okay? When you strip yourself down, I call it step number 1, clear the clutter, okay? So when you clear the clutter, for me, it determined who I am. When you take away all my possessions, and that's not to say I don't like nice things and going shopping or whatever, but when you strip it all down, who are you? You have nothing, okay? Nothing. So who are you? Clear the clutter. That is very important because when you figure out who you are, that is your purpose. That is that is going to guide every decision from here on. For example, if you strip everything away, you still have your children, let's just say, or your dog. Are you a nurturer? Because if you're a nurturer, okay, your dog and or time with your kids is going to be very important to you because you're a nurturer. Or maybe you're nurturing your parents, or maybe you're nurturing a family member, or maybe you're nurturing someone that you're volunteering with, or maybe you're a caregiver, or maybe you're a mentor or a coach. I don't want to put words in your head, but this is where I'm going. What is your role in society, in life, no matter what you have? What would fill you up? I would actually record it on page 39. And so many people get stuck with the word, what's your purpose, right? But for some people, once they figure it out, when they strip themselves down, I mean, literally, you don't get paid for it. It's what you would do in your spare time. It's what fills you up. You don't even need acknowledgement for it. It's just what you do. It may be what you read about. It's what you listen to podcasts on. It's what you are drawn to if it was a group gathering, you know, your interests and hobbies.
What if my hobby is something that I have to strip away?
No, it's what all you have.
Okay.
It's all you have. It's all you have. So if you could just do that one thing and that's all you're able to do.
What in the Sam Hill?
So I had my health to some degree, but I didn't, right? Like I was there's a time in life some people will hit, you may never, and that's okay. When no matter what people tell you and what you know is right, it's like you have cement on your feet and you cannot physically get yourself up and moving. It's then, what are you reading then? What is it that you're wanting more information about? What is it that still gets you up in the morning? Tough question, I know.
Pardon me.
Okay. All right. So why I ask that is, for example, whatever it is that you're super passionate about, there's usually some guilt around it. And the guilt always comes down to the why you won't do what you need to do. So let's just say you're supposed to work out. You're supposed to make your smoothies. You're supposed to go to the grocery store and get all your fruits and veggies to prepare. Okay. You're supposed to do that. but for some reason, something's holding you back. So for me, when I stripped myself down, all I had was, I'm a teacher. Like, that's what I love to do. You don't have to pay me to teach and coach people. I go to the grocery store, bleh, I puke it out. It doesn't matter what event I go to, it always comes back to that. I want to teach, I want to guide. So even my darkest moments, when I wasn't being paid, it's actually what brought me back out of that feeling, that depressive feeling, was that I knew I could teach. So I began reading again. I didn't mean to, it just started to happen. And it happened when my dad passed away. All of a sudden I'm reading my coaching stuff. You can hit stop just for 2 seconds. But it's what you're going to need to satisfy in order to do what you need to do. So for example, if you're a caregiver or you're a nurturer, and it's important to you to nurture your children, maybe you do need to read that book to your child before they go to bed, but then you're going to go work out, or vice versa. You're going to work out and then you're going to go read a book to your children. Or you're a gardener, and that's important to get your hands in the soil and it feels really good. So you're going to exercise and then you're going to go do your gardening, and or vice versa. Okay. It's letting go of the guilt. We have this guilt that we're not supposed to satisfy our yearning desire to be happy. It's what is going to make you get right off track with everything else that you're doing in life. Okay. So whatever it is, we have to satisfy that burning desire in order to let go of guilt every time we know we should do something. So you decide. It could be even financial freedom, I have written here. It could be getting, a better relationship with your husband or your friends or your colleagues. Whatever it is, you have to decide what's important and then release it. Here's another example. Say I'm at work and a bunch of my colleagues say, hey, Lee, you want to go out for dinner tonight? I have to say, oh, note to self. I need to, because it's important to spend time with my friends, because that was part of my thing. It's important to exercise. So I'm going to say, did I exercise? No. So the situation's asking me, okay, I'm going to exercise. No, I won't come to dinner, but I'll meet you for drinks after. So you're compromising. You're saying, okay, I'm still going to satisfy what's important to me, but I'm going to do my workout first. Okay. Same as what I'm saying. If you're a nurturer or a caregiver and you want to read that book first, and then you're going to work out. And or I'm saying workout, but it could be absolutely anything. It could be shopping for your groceries. It could be meal prepping. There's so much involved in taking care of our health. And we know that that's part of what's going to keep us going, because if we don't take care of our health, we can't take care of anyone else. I'm sure you've all heard that airplane speech before, right? Mm-hmm. When the oxygen mask drops, you're going to put the oxygen face mask on you first before you can save others, because you can't. It's the exact same thing. It goes in full circle. Okay. Full circle. So it really comes down to number 5. So if you want to record on page 40, just sort of what is really important to you in order for you to reconnect to that feeling, you can record right there that whatever it is going to get you closer to satisfying that need. Record there what it is. Something might just jump out at you that I've said already, and or you need to go back and think about it. But where I find most people are stuck is number 5. So a lot of people, I'll stop in just 2 seconds. A lot of people live in this when moment. Okay. So like, when the kids move out, I'm going to start to take care of my health. Or when I get a better job and then I don't work these crazy hours, I'm going to start taking care of myself. Okay. You have to purge yourself of the when. That language has to be released. Okay. That's an emotional attachment. It's sort of an excuse. Okay. You have to be in the now. Now. So right now I have 20 extra minutes. Okay. I'm going to go exercise, or I'm going to go prep my snacks, put them in little baggies, because I know I'm going to get busy later on this evening or tomorrow. Okay. Now, what can you do right now? It's the power of now, living in the now. So many people live in the when. And that's the first thing we sit down when I'm coaching. They tell me all the reasons why they can't get started now. That's what they'll tell me. I don't love using the word excuses, but that's the when. That excuse is a when. Okay. Just now, if I have 5 minutes, could I even go and drink 8 ounces of water? Just think about what you can do right now whenever you have those moments, okay? Because that will let go of that emotional attachment. All right? Okay, we'll take just a 3-minute break. Just have a sip of water, go to the bathroom, maybe even 2 minutes, okay? Because then I can get right into that next piece, which is big. We love the breaks. So I don't even know if there's any questions. I didn't see anything about
I
that.
don't think I saw anything. Sorry.
Do you want to water or anything? No, I brought mine. Thank you.
We could mute it, maybe. That would be awesome.
If I'm gonna drink more water,
You don't
like if
normally
I'm
drink
not
water?
dehydrated, I don't crave sweets or like.
Anything like that.
Okay. I don't know. Could just be me.
No, it's
But-
awesome.
No, that's really great.
Okay. All right. So if you're having trouble already, because I've given you a lot to think about, one of the biggest shifts and one of the best tools I've used is called the paradigm shift. I don't know if anyone's ever read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, but this is one of the biggest parts to 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Shifting your paradigm. If you've ever taken on a new role in a job and become a manager, or maybe got married, that's a big shift in a paradigm shift, because you maybe take on a different name, or if you become an owner of something, maybe an entrepreneur, a business, a paradigm shift is sort of an I am. Has anyone heard of I am statements? Yeah. Okay. I even have a friend who got tattooed I am on her wrist. So I am is a paradigm shift. So a big one for some people, let's just say running is your thing. Let's just say you've decided I want to become a runner. Yeah. You need me? Oh, so let's say you want to become a runner. So a lot of people will say, okay, I want to become a runner. And then, they strap on their running shoes day one, they're doing really good. And then something gets in the way, maybe an injury. But a person who's a runner, I am a runner. So if you begin by shifting your paradigm, by stating something different, I am a runner, you are going to maybe behave as a runner, as opposed to that when I'm a runner. You are a runner. Okay. A good statement I have here, so on page 41, is I am in the process of releasing weight and becoming healthy as I am the owner of my body. So you become the owner of your, whatever it is, habits, whatever your inspiration is, whatever your legacy is, all that I've explained, your emotional attachments. I am in the process of releasing weight and becoming healthy because I am the owner of my body. When you begin to take ownership of yourself, you make many different decisions. Many. Without me even having to be here as your cheerleader, cheering you on, you're going to make decisions based on who you now are. Okay? Can you guys write maybe an example of what you want to shift in what you are thinking you are now? I am. So an example, maybe even like, I am a CrossFitter. That's just an example. I'm not selling CrossFit. I'm just saying, maybe we have people that start out in some of our programs that just think they can't get in shape. I am in top shape. I am strong. I am flexible if they're in yoga, right? I am a yogi. I'm giving you so many examples and I don't want to, tell you what to write, but I'm just giving you an idea of how it can go. Okay. So when we put it all together, and I talk about balance, I'm going to talk about your life pyramid. Okay. So here is our life pyramid. Okay. And so if you think of a pyramid, it has to stand like this, right? To stay upwards. Okay. So it stands properly. Balance, because so many people, and when I explain what the pyramid is all about, they're usually on the tip, and that's going to topple and topple, right? Because you're going to get drawn into situations and draws you out of whatever your legacy is, whatever your inspiration is, whatever your I am is, because they're balancing on their tip. Okay. But in order to stay upright, we need to have something across the bottom. So let's think of even a house. What would you build on a house before you obviously put the walls up and the floors in and the windows in? What would we put on the very bottom? Foundation. So we have a foundation. Okay. So if we think of our life, okay, our life pyramid, and this is our foundation. What do you think would be the bottom? What do you think is most important? What do you think your foundation should be?
Your health.
Wow, you get a gold star. All right. So if we go back to our foundation all of the time, right? If our health is our foundation, it's usually going to dictate our decisions, right? So if we have to make a decision and it's not built on our foundation and our health isn't our main concern, how are we going to take care of everything else? Get up and go to work? If, not eventually take a sick day or be efficient at work or not work as hard as you could. Or when it comes to your family, how are you going to take care of your family? Get up and, go through the daily rigmarole that a family requires. And, or if you're in a relationship, how are you going to stay in that steady state in your relationship? Not being 100%, but even the 80%. Most people operate at that 50%. They literally are tipping all the time. They're 50% on, 50% off. Why do I keep teetering and tottering? Okay. If we go back to our health as our foundation all the time, it's really going to make a lot of decisions much easier. Okay. When we come to our center. So let's just think now we're going to put some walls up, or maybe we're going to put some floor in. This is a tough one. Does anybody, without reading ahead, does anyone know what that might be?
No idea.
Okay.
Diet.
Well, it could be diet. Could be diet. And that's a great answer. Because if we're thinking of our health and we go to the mid part, we have to have, I talked about permission. I talked about trust. But another word is to just have faith. Okay. Have faith, having faith that if you are taking care of your health first, then if you're in the process of releasing body fat, getting healthy, getting stronger, getting fitter, right? If you have faith, I promise you, It will absolutely happen. Okay. It's without a doubt. Okay. Now, when we go to the top and I'm talking health and I'm talking faith, any idea what the top tip might be without reading ahead?
I read ahead, I guess.
Okay. That's okay.
No.
Okay. Love. Okay.
Oh.
Love. Okay. But when I say love, I mean unconditional love. And I'm going to explain, I'm going to actually read you about love. Okay. Here's just an example. So there was a therapist, it was a research therapist, and working with a client who was struggling, and she was trying to release her last 10 pounds. Okay. I don't know if anyone struggled with the last 10 pounds, even 5. Oh my goodness. Hardest. Okay. It's really, really hard. But when it comes to this, it's kind of easy. Okay. So this woman seemed to have everything. She had, I don't know, great marriage, beautiful children, wonderful career, good social network, yada, 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 right? Everything's going for her. Yet, when she was asked a question, what do you love about yourself? She really struggled with the answer. So love, unconditional love. She struggled. She could hardly answer. The therapist knew right then that they were onto something about this last 10 pounds, okay? And continued to force her to think about her answer. And at that moment, she realized, oh my goodness, maybe it's just this inner peace. And then the therapist said, listen, it can't be. And then they're saying, the girl said, what are you talking about? Of course I have inner peace. I have everything I want. And he said, well, if you don't love yourself, then you can't have everything you want. Because if you don't have unconditional love for yourself, then how can you expect other people to love you? So how can you operate from loving your children? And how can you operate from loving your friends, your dog, your work, and so on and so forth? Because when you don't have that unconditional love, you are not going to make the best decisions. And then they went as far to say, okay, she would dabble in the M&Ms because she was trying to fill up what was empty inside her because she didn't actually love herself. When I personally did my work when I was really low, the hardest thing for me was to begin to love myself again. It really was. One exercise I did was mirror work. I don't know if you've ever done mirror work, but it was very, very difficult. For almost a year after my father passed away, I could hardly even look in the mirror. When I say look in the mirror, I couldn't look at my eyes. I saw such pain, okay? And I didn't see that unconditional love. You have to love yourself to then take care of your health and have faith, okay? It works in layers. It's like having a house and not putting the windows in. You're going to get, obviously, draft, rain, whatever. It's going to ruin the house. It's the same for your body. You have to have unconditional love for yourself all the time, even when you make bad decisions, okay? There's no such thing as a bad decision. It just happened. You just got to move on, okay? Because what I'm going to teach you, week 2 is pretty tough, okay? We're going to talk about sugar, and it's a big week, okay? It's very addictive. So we have to love ourselves. So wake up every morning. You have to think about someone's trying to outwork you. And that someone is you, okay? You may not even be competitive. That's okay. You're trying to outwork yourself and even outworking the negative thought, how you're seen in the world, and really filling yourself up with how you are, like who you really are and what it's all about. Because that is what is going to guide you with every other decision you make throughout the day. There's some study about how many negative thoughts we even have in a day. It's something like 600 to 700 negative thoughts. Even when you're reversing your car and you look in the rear view mirror and you might catch a glimpse of yourself, oh, my eyes are dark. Oh, I have circles. Oh, I have lines. Oh, look at my hair. We have so many negative. All right. We have to fill ourselves up with this positive. If we don't, it will not guide us with any of the other decisions we're trying to make. Okay. So, we've learned a lot. Let's go into our nutrition. So, I heard Cindy while I was just taking a quick break that today's a hard day for her. And that happens to people. So they're on track feeling really, really good. And then Cindy's just having a day where it's like, I don't know, I'm feeling a little tempted. And I don't really know why. So a lot of people forget to reward themselves. They forget to actually take a moment and say, yay me, tap themselves on the back, okay? Recognize and celebrate where you're at. However, many people will treat that as a chocolate or indulgence of food, okay? Even if you went to the dentist gave you a sucker. How backwards is that? The dentist gave you a sucker when you were really, really good, or maybe even the doctor. They don't do that anymore, but when I was growing up, I got a sucker. Okay. So when we treat ourselves to a reward that is a sugar treat, like a chocolate or a candy, which a lot of people actually do with their children and or their animals, they'll reward them with a treat that's food. Let's try to reset our reward. Maybe it's a magazine, because gosh darn, magazines are like $12 to $15 these days. So you're going to reward yourself with a magazine. Maybe it's a bottle of nail polish or a manicure. Maybe it's a bubble bath. But right now, I really want you to think about rewarding yourself, okay? If you're hitting any lows, we know, and this should be weekly. I think you should celebrate yourself weekly. I really do. I don't think you should hold back. We celebrate everybody else. Oh, you did so good. I'm going to get you some flowers. Thank you for helping me. I'm going to get you, I don't know, a gift certificate, right? I want you to reward yourself, okay? I had my pom-poms out. You've done so good. Even if you stopped at day 5, okay? And I don't know if anyone stopped at day 5 and or it doesn't matter, okay? Wherever you are, you need to reward yourself. However, we don't want to look at our reward as a food, a treat, okay? We do not want to do that. Here we're going into sugar. Sugar is highly addictive, okay? White refined sugar, gram per gram. 1 gram of sugar is the exact same. Actually, they have proven it's a higher addictive, whatever is in the sugar is more highly addictive than cocaine, gram per gram.
What?
And one of the reasons it's more highly addictive is because it is socially acceptable, okay? I can put all kinds of cookies. I mean, depends who you're hanging out with, I guess. But you can put a tray of cookies here and we'll all have a cookie, let's say. I may not put a platter of cocaine here and we're all going to share in the cocaine. I hope. But it's socially acceptable. And they proved this with rats. There are many, many studies. You can look it up for proof, but it's very addictive. Okay, so coming off of refined sugar, why? Why do we want to do that? Does anyone know what another word for sugar, white refined sugar, might be?
Glucose.
Glucose, yeah. That is sugar, yeah,
Bread.
glucose.
Another word
What's
for
that?
sugar?
Bread.
Bread, it's sugar, yeah. Anybody online have another carb? Yeah,
Carbohydrate?
yeah. So broken down, it is technically insulin, okay?
Oh.
Insulin.
That was my next one.
So it's like shooting yourself with a bunch of insulin. Okay.
Yeah. Good.
What's wrong with that? What's really wrong with that? Does anybody know what happens if you have a shot of insulin?
Diabetes.
Shoots right up, okay? So your insulin levels shoot up. That's what diabetics are really trying to monitor when they have these insulin monitors on them, is what their insulin, what their sugar levels are at. We need to watch this because when we shoot our insulin up, it's not always that spike that we're really worried about. It's the crash. That crash causes a lot of havoc. I won't even go into extreme details about what happens in your system, but what happens for us is we want more. Just like a cocaine addict, they want more. When that buzz comes off, we want more. And we break down our ability to say no, okay? We want more, we're going to go grab for something, we're going to graze. We are trying to keep our sugar levels at a steady. So how do you do that? There's a couple ways. So I did share with you the GI index. That's what I had sent out today. The GI is a glycemic index I spoke about last week. There are certain foods that are higher on the glycemic index. We want to be something 50 and lower. So if you ever get into GI reading, this program is not about that. It's not about counting calories. It's not about knowing what your GI is. Just know that that's what the glycemic index is because there's a lot of reference to it when it comes to fibers and fruits and vegetables and all that. What we want to look at is how and when we eat. Okay, so on page 45, the best way to monitor this. Remember when I brought out our car and I brought out an orange car this time? And I said we don't have a gas gauge on our body, so we need to know when to fuel. Okay, so we need to be fueling minimum, and this is for the rest of your life, even if you're 80 years old, you need to be fueling every 2 hours. The max you want to go to is 4, okay? At 4, you are going into empty. All right. Now, a car, it will just die on the side of the road. Okay. What do you think your body does if you run out of fuel?
Starts burning muscle.
Very good.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Okay.
So we think our body's like starving, right? So our body's going to burn off fat, we think, but it's not. What it does is it goes to the strongest part of your body and it needs to survive because you're asking it to keep going with your day. And some people have long, busy days. And so it says, I need something. So it's going to eat off your muscle. Okay. So all this hard work you might be doing with your fitness or your fitness regimen, whatever it is, you're actually going to hinder your results and or your progress if you're not fueling. Okay. Every 2 hours, maximum 4. Okay. For everybody. And this is for the average North American. Okay. So let's say we get up, like I said here, you get up at 8 a.m. So say I have my meal at 8 in the morning. 2 hours from then, I'm going to have my snack. 2 hours from then, I'm going to have my lunch. 2 hours from then, I'm going to have my snack. 2 hours from then, I'm going to have my dinner. And then typically it's kitchen closed. All right. Some, they have a different lifestyle. Back when I was teaching and training late in the evening, I would have one more snack. So give yourself permission to have another snack if it's necessary. But I'm sure you've all heard eating smaller meals a few more times a day is very important. I'm sure you've all heard that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is that 5 meal principle, okay? But when I say 5 meal, we got to go meal, snack, okay? It's not eating 5 meals, right? It's not that. And I'll get into carbs and fats and proteins later. But for now, it's all about timing. This is what's going to control your insulin levels. Now, when it comes to replacing our white refined sugar, because we do, remember the R's, we want to replace, okay? We do not want to have white refined sugar, okay? We want to replace it with, and there's all kinds of suggestions here, okay? So your date, like just a glance at a date on page 46, but on page 47, you've got sucanat, you've got maple syrup, brown rice syrup, honey, agave, malt syrup, maple sugar, molasses. And each of these have different benefits. Like molasses has a lot of iron in it. So if you want to dig deeper and learn more about your sugars, there are sugars that give you different minerals and vitamins and nutrients that your body may need. But for now, we're going to remove all white sugar from our diet and we're going to replace it with these sugar substitutes. No question? Pretty good. Okay, baking. Baking is where people run into a little bit of trouble. So does anyone know what you could possibly replace when it comes to baking? So instead of white refined sugar, what could I put in place?
Cane sugar.
Cane's a good one. Yep.
What about monk fruit?
Monk fruit sugar is a good one. Yeah, it's a replacement. Yep.
Honey,
Would you bake with
applesauce?
Applesauce. Yep, as a sweetener. Love it.
Dates.
So let's say I'm pouring white refined sugar in. Does anyone know what the alternative is?
No.
Okay, sucanat. So basically you can go to the store and buy on the right there. See on the, so to replace 1 cup of refined sugar, you can use sucanat. So it's evaporated cane sugar or cane juice. There's no change to the recipe. So if it says 1 cup of white refined sugar, 1 cup of sucanat is a replacement for it. Okay. I just love to go over that. I'm not a baker. I'm not a cook, but I do know all of you maybe. And so it's important to know where and what to replace with. Okay. There's no taste difference.
You can
no
get that
taste.
anywhere, did you say, Lee?
Yes, you can get it at any, it's very readily available now, but usually a health food store is best. Yeah. Back when I wrote this, it was really hard to find some of these things. But now it's very, very easy to find.
So
Okay.
like, I'm a visual person, I need to see it.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Now you know. Beautiful.
Well, guess
Okay.
who's getting baked goods all the time?
So I want to just go over how that sugar is in what some of the things you mentioned. So carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, as I said last week, we've got our simple and our complex. Okay. So in our simple, that's our fruits and our veggies. We know we've got sugar. Now that's a fructose, right? Fructose is okay, but no one is going to really, like, let's just say you've got 1 cup of sugar compared to a banana. It would be 6 bananas. I don't know very many people that sit down and eat 6 bananas. So many people ask me, but Lee, can't you overeat fruit? Can't you overeat vegetables? Not really. Yes, you could if you sat and ate 6 bananas, but I don't really know many people that eat 6 bananas or eat 6 apples or, a whole thing of grapes. If you do, then yeah, we probably need to taper it back a little bit. Vegetables, unlimited. Okay, unlimited. And the extra benefit to vegetables is the fiber. They are high in fiber content. Go crazy. Eat as many as you want. And it's really good to mix them up because there's different benefits to each, just like with your smoothies. Why we changed from salads that were just the greens and the collards and the kale and the spinach, because there's chlorophyll in them and we need it. Okay. So have as many fruits and veggies as you really want to. If anyone tells you that that's not right, well, the only reason they're saying that is because maybe, as I just said, you ate 6 bananas. I do know one person who ate way too many carrots and their skin went orange. And so, if your skin goes orange, you've eaten too much of something. There's no question. Okay. But when it comes to complex carbohydrates, breads, cereals, muffins, rice, anything that's made like a bread, right? You guys got that? That complex carbohydrate. Have you guys started to replace your grains? Kind of. Okay. This week is we have to replace our sugars and we have to replace our grains. Okay. Because as you come off this cleanse, it's very important that we start to have our whole foods, because we're having fraction foods when we don't have these whole foods. What does that mean? So our body has cells. I'm going to use this as an example. Okay. So our body's made up of 1 billion. I'm going to wrap myself in all this, right? Our body is made up of billions of cells. A fraction food means that these cells, let's just say I pop the cell. Now that cell is half of its full cell or its puffiness. There's a couple things that happen. One is if that cell is not completely full, we are not completely protected, right? So if I was to pop a whole bunch of these cells and I've got fraction cells and you wrap something that needs to not break, I don't have anything here that needs to not break, but if I wrap something that it wouldn't be protected. How are you not protected? If your cells are not completely full, you will continue to graze. You will never feel full. You'll never feel satisfied. Your body's constantly trying to fill those cells up. The same is for protein. What does anyone think protein does for our cells?
Phil.
It fills it and it protects it, but it also is a Band-Aid, okay? Your cells need a Band-Aid to heal, okay? We are active North Americans. Again, I counsel different if someone was a very inactive, 600 pounds in their houses, can't move, so on and so forth. This is for a healthy individual. All right. So if my cell was popped, right, it's compromised. I can't pop these, but you saw a popped one, okay? So it's compromised. Protein is like filling these cells up as well. And it also totally is like a Band-Aid to all those cells, because I don't know if you've ever heard we all have cancer. It's a matter of what our health or our lifestyle is doing to us. Because if we do not protect our cells, if they don't, these little cells bounce off each other and they create, let's just think bruising. Let's just think, breaking. Let's think of them not being able to bounce off and not have any damage. And once your cells become damaged and too many become damaged, it leads to illness, which leads to cancer and or other things that are very, like a heart disease even. Okay. Your cells need to be filled up and they need to be protected. So how much protein? Oh, I will dig a little deeper with protein. So there's 2 sources of protein. Does anybody know what the 2 sources of protein are?
Beans.
Okay, great. Awesome. Beans. So there are plant proteins and animal proteins. Okay. Plant proteins, you can think of legumes, you can think of seeds, you can think of beans, you can think of plants are even protein because spinach has protein in it. So spinach has a protein. It's both a carbohydrate and a protein. But then there's animal proteins. What do you think we should probably fill up more of?
Vegetable protein.
Plant-based
Or
proteins,
plant protein.
okay?
Oh.
We want to get as much plant-based proteins in our diet as we possibly can. because animal proteins may have, what do you think in them that is too
Fat.
much fat? Okay. So there is a saturated fat that's in an animal protein. We are not going vegetarian. I am not vegetarian. I still eat animal proteins, but I eat more towards the plant proteins than I do to the animal proteins. So I just want to make that clear. Now, how do we calculate how much protein we would ideally need in our day?
No idea.
No idea.
Oh, I saw it. You do your
36.
So there's a calculation on page 49, but another great way to do it, just a quick, easy way, is half your body weight. So
Is that grand?
if in grams, yes. So if I'm, say,
100%.
120 pounds, I should be getting 60 grams of protein per day.
Do you have
That's
that,
a
do you
lot.
have that written down somewhere?
So
Should I-
on page 49,
Okay.
there's a calculation, but a quick
Okay.
one is to just say your body weight in
Okay.
half, okay?
Yeah, I'm gonna write it down.
This is where I find people go uber wrong. If you increase your protein, it will satisfy you to not really want to have that refined sugar. It will satisfy you for your carbohydrates, your breads, your cereals, and all your grains. It will satisfy your fats because you're going to get it through these proteins. However, when it comes to fat, and say you're just a plant-based, this is where I find vegetarians or vegans go wrong. Because they're not getting the animal protein, they're still not getting enough fats. So there is something called an essential fatty acid. So on the next page, you just keep on going. I go into fat. Hold on one second. Oops, sorry, it's not the next page. That's my fault. It's over on page 52. It's very small. It says fats and oils because it's very small and it doesn't need a lot of explanation. Just understand, have faith, okay? Essential fatty acids are very important to us because they're essential and our body does not produce them. Essential. We need them. We need fat. When you see labels that say fat free, no fat, that is not good for you. Okay. We need them. How much do we need? So let's just take yogurt as an example. When we look at yogurt, would we want to, it usually comes 4%, 2%, 1%, 0%. What do you think might be a good yogurt percentage?
0.
3.5.
So if I said
Wait.
0 for fat is not good for you.
Oh,
2%. 2. All right. 2%. So not non-fat yogurt. Okay. Can I tell you what happens when they do no fat? Because they still want it to taste good. Or you probably know. What do you think they do?
And sugar.
Increase the sugar. Okay. Anything, any label. This is back to false advertising. Any label that says no fat, no sugar. It will mean they either increase the fat or they increase the sugar. Okay. You want fat. Okay. So 2% when it comes to yogurt. When it comes to your milk, you want to be between a 1 and a 2%, not 0. Now, I don't personally drink cow's milk. But I don't want it I do know a lot of people who do, so I don't want to just remove that on you. I prefer almond milk and oat milk, and now we're actually going a little further. If I was to tell you about omega-3s, omega-6s, and omega-9s, has everyone heard of that before? Maybe don't know what that is, but heard of it. All right, so a lot of people are thinking, oh, I should get the omega eggs. All eggs have all the omegas in it. You do not need to buy omega eggs. An egg is an egg, okay? It is compromised only by how they fed the animal, whether it was grain-fed or grass-fed, okay? So you want to have grass-fed, not grain-fed, all right? I know I'm going really far here, but this is very important because an egg isn't a protein, but an egg could also have some fat in it for you, okay? But an egg is also a milk, so going really far. I don't want to go too far, but I do want to answer those simple questions because they're very, very important. The reason I don't drink cow's milk is for another reason. Cow's milk has phosphorus in it. And when phosphorus, and they say, drink your milk, you'll get your calcium. When calcium and phosphorus come together, they don't bind, they combust. They create bone holes in your bones. It's a fact, it's a study. I'm not making this up. So it actually is harmful to you. Okay. But some of us were raised on cow's milk, so it's hard to move away from it. I would really highly recommend you start to move away from it. The omegas, when it comes to 3, 6, and 9, a lot of people are going towards the oat. Is it oat we were learning about, Jake?
Flax.
Flax. Okay, yeah, but what were we drinking? Almond milk. So almond milk has the omega-3 and omega-9. What it can create in a lot of people, if you deal with cysts, like if you have a lot of cysts or you have a lot of breakouts, is the omega-3 and 9, they're high in it. So start to go towards a flax milk because it has the omega-6s. This is new information. I researched it a lot and it's true information, but you may have never heard it. You were doing a great thing back in the day when we moved from white bread to brown bread. But as we got more educated, we realized brown bread isn't as good for us. And now we know whole grain. Same for learning about your milks, okay? It's not to say what you're doing is wrong. It's just we're learning more and more about these different alternatives, okay? And we are always learning. I gave you a list when I emailed you the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. I can't add that to the book because they're constantly evolving. How we're using pesticides, how we're caring for the land and the farms and the fields. That changes all the time. Dirty Dozen is the list of basically the foods. If you were thinking of going organic based, the Dirty Dozen is what you want to be looking at. So strawberries is now number 1. What that means is you should try to buy strawberries organic if you can. Okay. If it's a cost factor, wash your strawberries really, really well if you're not buying organic. That's what this Dirty Dozen means. Okay. So from strawberries down to green beans, okay, is 12 on the list. So you might be one somewhere in the middle. Some people like to go, oh, well, I'm going to do the first 3. I'm going to try to buy strawberries, spinach, kale collards, and mustard greens in organic, but I'm going to really wash my 4 to 12. This is personal, just like I've taught you everything else, okay? This is your journey. It's how clean you want to get. But understanding that these toxins, they affect your nervous system. Your nervous system controls what your brain tells you, okay? Thoughts, decisions, choices. I feel like I'm going so fast because there's so much information. Nutrition is a huge, broad conversation. The teaching of the why is very important, but this knowledge is very important as well. So I'm going very fast. You can always ask me questions outside of here if there's stuff that you want to dive a little further and deeper into. And each week I will go further and further, okay? Clean 15. So Clean 15. So these lists are really actually put together in a way that says, okay, so what's clean? Well, clean is the opposite of Dirty Dozen, okay? Clean 15 means these aren't necessarily what you have to buy organic, okay? They're saying that on the list and how they're being controlled now with fertilizers and pesticides, we can be okay with this Clean 15 list, okay? So you all have a copy of both of these. I've given them to you in the email. You can always dig a little deeper.
So when you say wash your strawberries or whatever really, really well, do you just mean with water or do you
Water
have,
and vinegar, they suggest soaking them in water and vinegar. Vinegar is supposed to be the best thing to use to remove them. And even then, you're still going to take in some. Please understand, though, the air we breathe, okay? The air we breathe, wherever we live. As I remember I did that checklist, those 30 questions. I said, how close do you live to an airport? Those were on purpose because there are some things that are completely out of our control. We cannot live in a bubble. Okay, we cannot, but we can do our best with things we can control and choices that we have an opportunity to make. All right. What can I tell you about? Okay, saturated. So I've gotten into fats. What have I missed? What have I missed? I don't want to miss anything. Okay. Yes. New habits. Okay. So when it comes to shopping on page 50, one trick. Okay. I'm going to tell you. A nutritionist, number 1, says, go shopping at least once with a nutritionist. I would highly recommend that if you want to go a little deeper with this. I used to take my answer group. We would actually go shopping. We went to Garden Foods and I had all the aisles figured out. And we did that. So if you want to learn a little more, take a nutritionist. But we have so many apps now. You can just walk through the store and get a little education. Pick out 10 things that you normally buy. Read the label and dissect it when you go home. Take a screenshot. Go home. Learn a little bit about what you're eating. Understand it, okay? The other thing here, shop when you have the time to make wise choices. So that's, obviously going through the supermarket and taking your time. Take time to do it. The best investment you can make is into your food. It is 80% of your day. your day is consumed with how you're going to fuel your car. So we're talking about, instead of just putting regular gas into your car, we're putting supreme gas into your car, okay? You're going to really get mindful. You're going to make that extra investment. Maybe it's your time as the investment, but it's also in your pocketbook, maybe a little bit more of an investment, okay? So you might have to buy some things that's organic or take the time to wash them better. Shop with a list. Don't allow your eyes to decide. Pick your menu. So very important. Setting a menu at the beginning of the week. Jade is phenomenal with our family doing that, picking a list and, making that list, sticking to the list. You may have heard, don't go shopping on an empty stomach.
Oh, yeah.
Might be the only person in life
Oh.
who that doesn't work for. I'm going to tell you why.
She's drunk.
When I go shopping and I'm not hungry, I don't get all of the bulk that I need because I'm not hungry, okay? However, I have changed my palate. I am not the person who's going to put a bunch of bags of chips and bags of cookies, and I'm mindful. So in the beginning, yes, don't shop on an empty stomach. But as you transition through this, start shopping when you're a little bit hungry. But go around the perimeter of the grocery store. Don't go down the aisles. That's where the temptations are, okay? The foods you should be choosing pretty much don't have labels. All right, I've told you 70% of your diet should be the greens, the vegetables, the fruits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your grains, they're even on the outside of the aisles now. If you notice, most places, their breads, even Walmart, their breads are on the outside. But I've taught you what to pick. You're going to pick the whole grains, right? When it comes to the things that are saturated in fats, those are your cookies, your chips. I mean, it's a no-brainer. They're down the center aisles, okay? Pack snacks. They used to call me Pack-a-Snack. I swear, Pack-a-Snacks. Everywhere I go, I have snacks, okay? In my car, there's not a time you're not going to lift my console and I don't have emergency snacks in there because I make bad choices when my sugar is crashing. However, when that happens, so let's just say I'm out of snacks or I'm not in my own vehicle, I find it, and in our town in Bolton, we are so close. So if you look at where Garden Foods and Wendy's are, they're pretty much beside each other. There are so many pre-made foods. You can actually even get in and out of a grocery store faster than that takeout lineup at Wendy's going through to just pick something up. Pull into a grocery store. Go into their pre-made food area. They've got fruit packs. They've got hummus and crackers. Jade and I did it at a gas station on the weekend. Hummus and crackers. We made such great choices. And okay, I paid $5.99 for a little thing, but I didn't care. It's quality, right? It's quality, and I feel good when I do it, and I know it's benefiting me. Okay, it's all about decisions. All right. Then another thing I used to do when the kids were really, really young. I don't do it as much anymore because I do work from home. But I used to prepare my snack baggies. I literally cut up watermelon. I would put raisins, and I took that top crisper drawer, and I would put like 20 snack packs in there, literally. So in the morning when I was really busy, I worked 5 o'clock in the morning, just open the drawer, have my bag, throw in 3 or 4 snack packs, pre-made, cut up watermelon, cut up cantaloupe, cut up apples, raisins, nuts, seeds, whatever. And I would throw it in there, and then it was done. That's it. It's all about preparation, okay? Right, remember in the first class I said the most important thing? Does anybody remember what the most important thing? Permission. I love it. There's one more thing I noted, and I said, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. What's the most important thing that you can... Consistency! It's the key. The number one reason people give up and do not get back on track the next meal or the next snack is consistency. It's always about being prepared. That is the next big word. You have to be prepared because it's going to happen. I promise you it's going to happen. There were times I even traveled, and Jade won't allow me anymore, but I used to travel with a case of water in the trunk because there was no way I was going to run out of water. It was always there because usually you get hungry because you're thirsty first. That's why I asked you to start your days with 8 ounces of water first thing in the morning. We're normally dehydrated. We're not actually hungry. Try a couple herbal tea. Doesn't always have to be a glass of water. But you usually start with that glass of water. Remember when I said I'll be the first trainer to tell you go ahead and indulge, but delay gratification. Have your water first. Wait 20 minutes. If you're still really, like there's something going on, you've done everything right, I don't know, have that piece of chocolate. Okay? I'm giving you permission. All right? Just trust yourself. All right? Health first, middle faith, number one love, right? Okay? We have to reward ourselves. What else? I think I've covered all of the little quick tricks, little new habits that you could incorporate. All right. So for this week, we are removing, are we there?
Yeah, you're good.
So for this week, let's review. So at the back of your book, of each chapter, page 52, make a paradigm shift. Number 1. What is it all about? Get clear about that. Okay. I am cheering you on today, right? It's all good when you're here, and then you go out in the world. This weekend, we had a bachelorette party. It was a challenge, but we made it, okay? Because you can go back to what it's all about. Your life pyramid, as I said, foundation first. You've got to go back to how does this support your health? Once you support your health, you can have faith that it's all going to go right, and you can love yourself because you've got that full circle. You're constantly moving in that full circle. You've got balance. Replace your sugars. Understand you need to incorporate protein. Protein will curb that sugar high or where you need sugar. It will curb, and when I say sugar, I mean breads, cereals, muffins, cookies, banana cake, whatever it is, those sugars, okay? It will curb it, that protein, and essential fatty acids. So when you have a salad, I'm not asking you to eat like rabbits. You're not just eating greens and carrots. You could put a little olive oil and balsamic vinegar and salt and pepper. Lindsay is going to share with us later maybe a great salad dressing recipe she sent me, and it looked delicious. So get creative, play, start to learn, read your labels, understand a little better, and now start to incorporate the timing. The timing is the how, okay? Every 2 hours, something has to go in your mouth, never past 4. So if at 10 a.m. I'm not really hungry, I'm watching for it. 10:30, 11. I'm like, okay, even if it's just an apple with some almond butter, okay? So you want to get some fat in with your fruits if you can. That will help as well, okay? So you want, like, say, a yogurt with some of your fruit in it and maybe some nuts. Or, like I said, an apple with some almond butter in it, okay? The fat is going to help curb you because you may not have protein in your snacks, but you want to have some fat in your snacks, okay? Any questions, guys? We covered a lot. No, we're good. Okay, I'm going to send you a little bit of FYI info this week because I think there's some stuff that you need to learn and understand a little bit, like gummies. Oh my goodness, I just have to show you my demo on gummies. If you love candy, can I scare you away from candy, like, for the rest of your life? Like gummies, like these gummy candies. Does anybody know what this is made of?
Horse
Horsehair.
What?
It's made of horsehair, and you know the shiny stuff that's on top of the candy? It's actually, what's that called? Oh, goodness.
Varnish?
Varnish. It's varnish.
Are you
But
talking
they
jujubes?
These are jujubes.
But they
These are,
taste
yeah, I know,
so
you can't
good.
really tell.
And they're
I never take them
horse
out.
hairs? What is
Yeah,
that?
so what makes it stick together is horsehair, and like it's disgusting what they put in it. But anyways, what's secreted from the insects, which is the varathane, is what actually makes it glow and glisten and glitter. That was back to my teaching on candy. And they give you that as a reward, that sucker, when you've done really good at the dentist, right? Yeah, really done good at the dentist. That's great. One other one is, you know the Good Eat bars? You know the Good Eat bars? So this is back to reading labels.
What's good eat?
Oh, I wish I had
Made
one
Good?
here. Or Made Good? Yeah, maybe Made Good. Right, yeah, Made Good. I don't buy them. And the reason why, it'll say to you, the ingredient says free from nuts, safe for schools. That's what's advertised. Organic ingredients, vegetables, non-GMO, fat-free, brown rice, agave, however. Vegetables are the closest to the bottom of the list. That's how to read a label. We're going to read labels later, but closest to the bottom of the list is the vegetables, and it's not good because in that is the main ingredient is the sugar. So if you look right to the top and it says agave as the very first, even though it's good for you, it doesn't matter. It's going to spike your insulin levels, but they sell you on the fact that it's made of vegetables. Okay? So read those labels for the sugar. Look for those keys. chemicals, preservatives. I was just gonna see. Oh yeah, the Beyond Meat burgers. Beyond Meat
Don't
burgers.
tell me, I love those things.
Okay, the first
What do you
ingredient
think bad about
is water. The second ingredient is pea protein, which pea protein is very good for you. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fine. However, the third ingredient is canola and then coconut oil. And that's a lot of saturated fat. Because back to what I explained, and you talked about mung beans, though they use mung beans as the peas, in order to make that taste good, and it's full of a lot of chemicals and preservatives, they have to increase the fat to make it taste good. So how do we get around it?
Easy.
Bought a box at Costco this past
It's
weekend.
cheaper and better to make black bean burgers.
Thank
It's
you.
so easy, and you just
Thank you.
literally put it in a food processor.
Look
That's
at
amazing.
these guys. You know how to make these. There's so
Yeah,
many
but you don't even need
TikToks.
one.
Lindsay,
You can just
you're
literally
on
put it all in the
TikTok.
blender.
There's so many great recipes. There's going to be high saturated fats in order to make it taste good. There really will be. Or there's chemicals and preservatives when they say there's no sugar. There is something in it that's going to make it taste good. Okay?
Yeah.
Why I'm mentioning this is everything that I've just said is pre-made. All right? We don't want pre-made
Yeah,
food.
I agree.
Okay? We have to understand pre-made, even if the label says it's good for you, is processed. All right? We need to be making these ourselves. I've shared with you so many recipes and they're so good. Like the green goddess bars. Has anyone gone over the recipes? The coffee,
some good
it's under
ones.
coffee substitute and additional recipes.
I make these oat
So there's so many there, and I've tried them all. This isn't just and I can't cook, so it's got to be easy. Almond butter oat bites, delicious. These little things take 2 seconds to make. Green goddess bars, to die for. Chia pudding, love it. Cashew cheese sauce. So I put cheese sauce on my broccoli. I don't know if you were raised like that, but we were.
So good.
The cashew cheese sauce, you'd never know the difference other than the color. Sprouted lentil patties. Remember those, Jade? We lived on those, okay? Nut and date balls are my favorite. They're so easy, so delicious. Does everybody know what I'm looking at? The coffee substitutes and additional
page?
recipes. It's not in your book. It's what I sent you.
yeah.
Just so you know, this isn't in your book, and if you don't have your email available, on the Parlor Project website under resources, click it. Everything's there. So if you're at the grocery store and you're like, oh my gosh, where are those recipes? Just go to the Parlor Project website and drop down resources, and you'll see all my recipes are there. Sunny pate, gluten-free bean brownies. There's just so much. All right? So I'm not going to say good luck. I've never said good luck in this program because you don't need luck. You just need faith. You just need to trust that you understand how important this is to you. This is all about you. This isn't about me. I'm just teaching you. You take what you're going to take from it, all right? And you're going to start to apply it. So this week is all about applying it. We still have a little bit more of our cleanse to do. Coming off the cleanse, be safe, be careful, but this is all the stuff that you're going to start to change. And next week, I know so many people are reading ahead, but the cleanse day that we're going to incorporate next week is magical. It's something you can do for the rest of your life. Even if you decide never to do this smoothie cleanse a day, it is a huge benefit to you. Okay? All right. Have a good week, but I'll see you guys Tuesday, tomorrow morning, right? For our workout at 6:30, Thursday morning, Friday morning. Lindsay and Ash, were you guys on for the meditation on Friday? Because I sometimes see iPhone. No, okay. I'm doing my little attendance here. I'm keeping track. I love you guys. Thank you for coming. I'll see you.
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome, Lynn. I miss you.
Miss you.
Bye, hun.
I might have something for you in
Stop
here.
the recording.